Hey gang, Joyce with Skipping Calves Farms. I apologize, I bumped the screen on my phone and it turned off the video. So let me show you what I was planning to show you. Give me just a second here. Now, this was the end of the line, and like I said, it's a manufactured loop at the end. So I just pulled the long end through the loop and it came right off the tree. Came right off the tree like that. Now, that tree, it looks really, really crooked. But now that it doesn't have the cherry over it, in another 6 months or so, by the end of this summer or this spring, I bet you it still may lean this way a little bit, but it won't be leaning nearly as much. It'll be more upright and then spreading this way, like that. But let me show you, if I can. I was trying to get the phone to balance on the ladder so I could use both hands, and that's when I bumped it. So let's see if we can use the ladder and I can do this better this time. Now, may not be the best picture in the world, but that's a figure 8 knot. If you've got a figure 8 knot, no matter how hard you pull on it, you can always untie it once the pressure's off. It's like a bowline in that respect. So all you have to do is you work that loop down, you work this loop down the other line, and it just comes loose like that. So how do you tie a figure 8? Well, I've showed you how to tie a regular figure 8, but how do you tie a figure 8 to make a loop? Well, you double the line up, and instead of doing it like this, instead of just coming through like this and doing an overhand and then having it have the loop here and this knot tied down on itself so tight, sometimes you just can't get it loose. Let me take my cap off and let me show you. That's my safety helmet with the mask and the earmuffs and all of that. That gets heavy and uncomfortable. So thanks, gang, for giving me that moment. Whew. Okay, so let's see if I can get down here so you can see. Let me move this over here just a little bit. All right, so this is just an overhand knot, right? Everybody knows an overhand knot. And this would be the loop. Okay, so let's start over again. Here's the loop. And what you do is, like here would be an overhand loop, an overhand knot if you went through the loop now, right? But instead of going through the loop now, you do another half and you come up the other way, just like that. Now it's going to be a short loop, right? Because we're trying to work in this really small space, right? So now, instead of just having the one, you've got 2 loops. So the line coming in and the line going out. When this knot tightens down, then you come back through and you put through that knot, and you've got one end of the rope going this way, and you've got one end of the rope going this way. And no matter how tight, let me see, I know I'm out of the screen, give it me a second. No matter how tight you pull that knot, you will never pull it so tight that you can't work it loose, because you can always come in and work these loops on this end, or you can work, see, that was what we just worked on, or you can work these loops, and see, you're just pushing them down the line. You're just pushing them down the line. And then once you do that, then the line can come through, as long as you still don't have tension on it. And the whole thing just comes apart. Boom. So that's what I was trying to show you when my hand bumped the screen. Today's been a pretty impromptu day. Sheep aren't quite sure what to do with me, I'm sure. Mama's up there grazing. She seems to be going for a lot of the privet. What am I talking about with privet? See all these big bushes here? That is privet. It's an exotic, I think it's from China. It's a cousin to grapes. There's a guy in Georgia that sells privet. No, I'm sorry, he does it with kudzu. And he calls it smurfberry honey because it is a distant relative to grape. The honey has a little blue tinge to it. But these big bushes are putting out all of these little root. These are being propagated by roots like this. And so all of these little bushes that you can see all along here are all privet. Well, if you look, well, that's right, I don't have the power on. If you see that privet right there, that privet right there looks a little sad. It looks a little sad because it's been eaten on. And it's supposed to be about 16 to 20% protein. It's really high protein. It's got a lot of nutrition. And if you kind of look down here, down this fence line, if you look right in here, you see how along the fence line here it looks like a dark green? That's all little privet sprouts that have grown back up after I weed-eated it last summer. So one of the things I plan to do this winter is I will bring the sheep, I'll set up an alley on the outside and bring them around on the outside. I've done that partially before, and they've grazed over at that end and did real fine. So I'll bring that alley all the way across and over here to this corner. And then I'll just let them graze this whole alley here. And I'll probably do it within the next month or so, because I want to do it while those sprouts are young and green and succulent, and when it's during the time when nothing else is growing and they need the protein. So I'll bring them down here and let them eat on that, because at the other end I can just do a cross fence. I can just do a cross fence like this over to, because there's a 50-year-old barbed wire fence all along this property line. So I can just do a dead wire across to keep them from going around on the creek side. So I want to keep them stopped here so they don't go past that blue container and head on down the creek side. But just have them graze, hit that, and graze all the way back here. And with what I'm looking at right now, just with what I see right now, as soon as I clean up this brush, there may be 3 or 4 days worth of grazing just on this privet for these 2 sheep, and high quality. So what I might do is have them graze out here in the morning. Have them graze in here in the morning and get a little bit more high energy stuff, and then bring them out here in the afternoon to go for the protein. So it all depends, but a job well done. Of course I would put on, clean work clothes the day I'm covered with sawdust, but that's the way it works, right? So probably take another hour or two to clean up this brush pile and I have a choice. I can burn it, I can cut it and move it and use it for biochar fuel. I just haven't decided what I want to do yet. Originally, when I put in this perimeter fence, I was going to put a gate in right there about where daughter is. Now I kind of wish I had, but I didn't have the money to put in another corner type structure, so I didn't. But that's always an option down the road. You do the best you can with what you got, and start with where you're at, with what you've got, and then things like that gate, which would be a real nice convenience. Well, down the road, when I have more options and more funding or more animals, and it's going to impact my productivity more, then I'll put it in. Because all I have to do is cut the fence and put in a gate. So where those daisy wheels are. So life is good. I hope 2026 finds you well and prosperous and happy and accomplishing. Blessings for the day, and whatever you do, just keep chasing the dream.